Government of the people, for the people, by the people.
This is America. We have the right to say what we want to say. We have the right to do what we want to do. And what I do at my house, you might not do in your house. So what I do in my house is my business. And the simple fact of it all is that we are bonded by the First Amendment. We have the freedom of expression. We have the freedom of choice. And you, Chinese, black, green, purple, Jew, you have the right to listen to whoever you want to, and even the Two Live Crew. Two Live Crew. All the way down.
Shit. Well, what's up? This is Doc, aka Black Tiger for the Culture, aka Bobby Yasuke, aka Ube Lashley, aka Don't Step to Ron, aka Two Phone Scorpio, aka your host. And this is something that I wanted to do because I think it's important. Based off of a clip that I saw this weekend, this week, featuring, Swerve Strickland talking about John Cena having a talent but not knowing what to do with it, and then seeing the outcry of rage from a bunch of let's say Yakubians. It's it's been sort of like a process and processing this thing. Now we're gonna talk cultural vultures, we're gonna talk a bunch of things, and I'm gonna just say this right off the bat. I am not black. I am Filipino American. I'm a brown skinned man. I am Southeast Asian. I will never know the black experience. Despite my proximity to blackness, despite my family members who also happen to be black, despite my whole family group being black, despite all of that, despite me, wearing Carl Kanai jeans and, Mecca shirts and, South Pole and NYC shirts. Yeah, NYC. It's not Aniche. We are, I will never know the experience of the black experience. Despite my use of vernacular, despite my use of mnemonics, despite my love of Outcasts and E40, despite all of that, I am never going to be a black man. And today I have with me, I was going to make a Two Live Crew joke because, one of the members of Two Live Crew is Asian. But I got with me the blackest podcast, the blackest wrestling podcast, kicking all ass. We're talking about the power of the pyramid. I got with me James Boyd and Rich Latta. And I would be remiss because it is International Women's Day. I'm going to introduce here, I call her my Caribbean queen. My sis, and she's gonna be, a little bit of master of ceremonies. D, how you doing, D?
Yeah, doing all right. How are you?
I'm all right. Rich, James, I know I said good morning to y'all, but it is afternoon over there. But nice to have you, man. Fuck daylight savings time. This shit makes no sense to me.
Did that start today? Yeah.
Yeah, that started today because I remember when I woke up, it's like, wait, it's like, oh, it's 8:00. I look elsewhere, it's like 7. Nah, International Women's Day, and you already taken an hour from us, man.
There's some type of, there's some type of evil force at play right there.
Yo, we're starting off hot and heavy.
You're muted, James.
No, I was just wondering if it was time for me to if I'm allowed to talk to the Caribbean Queen yet. That's all. What part? Can I ask you a question? What
Go ahead, caller.
What part of the Caribbean?
All right, so you're gonna have to talk to Doc about that because he was the one that just came up with it. I am from New York, specifically Buffalo. I have West Indian in my family. Yeah, like down, Jamaica, Kingston. I even have some I have some family that's like, a little bit further down, like DR and stuff like that. But
Okay.
I don't claim that.
Yeah, yeah. I just was singing Billy Ocean that one day, and she told me about like having some West Indian grandma. So I was like, okay, let me just do that.
Oh
which,
yeah, I was
that's
telling
also,
about my West Indian family. That's where it came from.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's, I know like there's this whole thing because like it's with me too, like because like I'm never gonna be Filipino enough for Filipinos, and I'm never gonna be American enough for America because I'm too brown, and I'm gonna just like say this a little bit of stuff. There's a lot of comedians out there that like say like Filipinos are like the black Asians or the Latino Asians. I'm like, well,
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, well, why? Okay, I guess okay, we're loud. We have, in order to excel at something, we have to be great singers, great dancers. We have to be like all this stuff. We got to be good at math. That's not gonna happen for some of us. I'm sorry. And like, there's also this colorism aspect, and we'll get to that in a bit. But we're gonna start off the top because I know, everybody knows Rich is like Boys with Swerve, and I want you guys to explain culture vulture to the audience. Like, what is being a culture vulture? What does that mean?
So for me, in its simplest terms, culture vulture in the system that we live in under capitalism is basically an exploitative model. Is another part of the exploitation. So it's people recognizing that people's vibes and aesthetics, music, cultural touchstones can be sold under a different face, right? So so there's that inherently. There's also the part where sometimes the music is actually good, and I think that's a part that people don't. I think that's a part that people, because they want to wrap this up in a nice little bow, have trouble reconciling. Like it's a really easy stance to say all culture vulture bad, and for the most part it is. But there are we mentioned Filipino Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars makes really good sounding music. Now, and I believe for the most part he's been very respectful of that. However, whoever is the face of it at the particular time, this person is going to get the slings and arrows. And ultimately what it comes for me when I think about it is like, well, yeah, that's definitely a thing. There's no, it's pretty cut and dry. But I don't think people have enough discernment to go down like, all right, there's Bruno Mars problematic, and then there's Morgan Wallen, Florida Georgia Line, country singers rapping over trap drums. Problematic. There's a difference.
Yeah, definitely feel that.
I would say, like, for me, I guess I would consider, like, if I feel like you're putting a costume on, essentially. I think there's a big difference between, like, Paul Wall, who has never caught a shred of, like, being like, you're some outsider or some violator, than a Post Malone. There's a clear difference there. And, I'm not here to say whether it's good or bad, it just is. I think I've grown up kind of seeing, and we're all kind of at the same age where, we've seen white people kind of fall back, like in our earlier years in high school, when they're growing up amongst you and, they're hanging in similar spaces due to whatever forced institution it is, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's a job, and you get them out of that. And then there's no kind of requirement, to be there with you. And they fall back into their natural lives. Whether, like, me and James know this rapper, I'm not going to say his name, but it was like, he was a very, very rough individual. And then, like, I heard there were pictures of him now, and it's like, you have no idea he was doing this 15, 20 years ago or whatever. And you can wrap that up. And James brought up like the country singers. What about the MAGA rappers? That's a whole different thing. And the thing is with them, it's an entirely different level of shamelessness that comes with that, because their biggest thing of being aggrieved is like, why can't we do it too? Like, and then they're just doubling and tripling down on it, and that's the society we're in now. So, and then there's there's the raccoons that are out there. So like there's that make that give basically this acceptance. So like, and I think those people are actually important to the discussion as well, because even though I don't find myself agreeing with those people, like they are also a part of Black people are not a monolith. So like it's like you kind of got to hear them too, but just because you hear them, that means you ain't got to listen to them. Like there's a difference between hearing and listening, I think.
Definitely. Because you brought up a good thing. Okay, putting on a costume and taking it off. You guys can never take off your blackness. That's the thing. Like, I mean, even like we all watched that episode of Fresh Prince where that dude in college calls Carlton a sellout, and that whole speech of like what the blah 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 blah. But a guy like, I'm gonna bring him up, John Cena, right? From 2003 to 2005, maybe 2006, wearing the throwbacks, wearing like the fitteds, putting that voice on. And then by 2007, all that shit's gone. Wearing the chains, all that shit's gone. And he goes from like, okay, this dude loves hip hop. Honestly, he probably did love hip hop, but like he went from wearing those things, dressing that way, talking like this, to now he's clean cut. Now he's the American patriot. Now he's that. Or we talk about guys like, Justin Timberlake. When he went off into his solo career, he started with like Timberland, the Clips, all that, and then he did that thing where he's like, "No, I'm gonna go back to my roots," and he released
Man in the Woods.
You'll never listen to that album to this day.
Right. Me either. I love Justin. I love Justin's music before. I loved NSYNC. Yeah, and like if you guys watched En Vogue '90, so, you would know that NSYNC was dressed by FUBU.
It's funny you bring up NSYNC. Even that, like all that late '90s pop music, that's just slowed down New Jack Swing from 5 years before that.
Yo, you talk about New Jack Swing. Yo, my brother, they sang "Just Got Paid" Friday night. Like, they did a cover of that. We had like the original. When you see like the Backstreet Boys, because I love Backstreet Boys. When they did like their high school tours, because that's what they did back in the day. They sang "Shy" in the high school auditorium.
Crazy out there, boy.
Oh Lord!
And like, I'm Filipino. I'm about to like fall into the karaoke. I'm gonna spare y'all that, but it's but like I said, like it's a costume. When you think about Billie Eilish, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when she was coming up, and she was dressing like TLC did in their "What About Friends" phase, and then she was called an innovator. She was called, she was fashion forward. She was all, she's not falling to the norms. And then like you hear those like interviews of her, like she wants it, like that white girl from the Boondocks, the little white girl that's that's the girlfriend of no, not Jasmine, the blonde.
I completely blacked out on her name.
Yeah.
But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's Susie or something. But like she, like how she talks about like blah blah blah. I want to get the Roscoe on and blast on so like she was talking about that's me if I was a cartoon character, and now that shit's gone. Now she's she's dressing more adult. She's like having these like she's getting these big movies. She's doing all that stuff, and now she's no longer wearing the costume. I mean, she wears it from time to time still, like in the 2024 Olympics ending ceremony, she was wearing the baggy shorts and all that stuff. But she's able to remove herself from that, and she gets the credit for that, bringing that fashion back to the masses. A fashion that she stole from the 90s from Black women.
Can I hop in real quick though?
Yeah.
All right, so there's one thing I kind of have to point out, at least like with the whole Eilish things. Like, granted, her fashion is definitely like 90s centric and everything, but the reason
Yeah.
why she was actually dressing like that, it was to so she didn't feel part of like the male
Sexualized?
gaze, feeling
Oh,
sexualized.
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So because the way the male gaze usually ends up operating, it's always just fixated, always imagine like it's the role of the the creeper, the omniscient observer. So her having those type of clothes, like it's pretty much like letting guys know it's like, yeah, there's no interest here, but dudes are weird. You've seen outside,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Like you could still be dressing like that, and dudes will still be like giving you the eye. You know how it is. Yes, on
Yeah, I do.
International Women's Day, I'm glad to be corrected by my sis right here. But still, you know, she doesn't have to wear the do rag under the fitted though, does she?
No one told her to do all that.
Yeah.
How you gonna have waves in like a mill pond? Get out of here.
No matter
Y'all remember when Eminem used to wear them do rags?
oh man.
Yeah.
Didn't
those
understand
are
what the
He was always like a week away.
yo. I didn't
Always away from
understand,
swimming.
like
Always a week away.
the wave wasn't quite waving, but
It was close. It was close.
Like
He was holding on to
kept-
God's unchanging hand, and God let go.
yeah, like he had that Caesar forever, and it just was never gonna happen for him.
then he started wearing the little conspiracy theory hats, and we ain't seen one of them since.
The conspiracy. Call them what they are. Those are the Talib Kweli hats.
Yes.
We the lions of hip hop. Wayo. Anyway.
No.
Niggas wearing paramilitary hats. I don't know what that was.
No, you're talking about the J. Rule, the Damager hats.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie. I wore those joints. I wore one of those joints. I'm not gonna lie.
I never.
I did.
So you put one of them hats on, you automatically appear in a cipher somewhere.
Yo, yeah, and like you.
We're wearing the Jansport.
Yes.
Yeah, you wear the Jansport. You wear, and if you really think you're a thought rapper, you had the Chase shirt. You had the chest shirt.
Oh man.
Oh yeah,
On top of
yeah,
that,
you did.
I think one of my favorite ones is like Jay-Z was like I'm like Che Guevara with bling on PSA, and I'm like, brother, the first song we ever heard from you like was Dead Presidents. That song is not that, like, the idea that your mission statement for the rap game was I want to make it hustle as much money as possible. And honestly might be the truest like intro for any rapper following their whole entire career ever. They'd be like, Che Guevara, nah, buddy, you are a ruthless capitalist. What are you talking about? I remember Bomani Jones once said like he's Che Guevara, he's for selling Che Guevara shirts. I was like, yeah, that's far more apt of Jay-Z.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's the capitalism of hip hop music. And I'll be remiss to say this, but you guys kind of brought it up. Like, there's packaging of blackness. And the proximity to blackness is being proximity to cool, to proximity to being popular and hip. Whereas proximity to whiteness. Whereas proximity to whiteness is proximity to acceptance, to mass appeal, right? So when you combine those things, as we were saying, like, FUBU dressed in sync, we're talking about Tommy Hilfiger and Ralph Polo, like making all those, like, okay, like, I'm not gonna lie, I did have some Tommy Hilfiger windbreakers back in the day, and those jeans, they're baggy. I wore them. I wore them with the Penny Hardaway ones. I like those shoes. But anyway, yeah, just to give an idea of how I dressed, I thought I looked cool. Honestly, I thought I looked cool. But like the proximity to blackness was, the reason why I dressed the way I dressed is because my friends always also dressed in that same way, where we're all like wearing. It's not a uniform, but you have these baggy jeans, the white tees. Over here in SoCal, especially if you're a Filipino, you'd have like Air Forces, or you'd have K-Swiss. And K-Swiss, you would do dirt and get K-Swiss, and I did have K-Swiss. But the proximity on that fashion to blackness is, I remember the quote from like Tommy Hilfiger was something like, I'd rather my clothes not be on black people. And like they kind of erased that in that En Vogue 90. But like there's that whole thing of like, why are you making clothes that like make a shout out to hip hop culture, to like young black people wearing hip things, like, and then you're saying like, I'd rather just be marketed for the mass appeal to white people. So you had a bunch of like white people start dressing in these baggy clothes, and there's this whole wave right now of people saying, I'm in my JFK Jr. wave, and that's just wearing baggy jeans, wearing Kangol hats, and like I'm like, you could say you're in your Denzel phase, you could say like you're something else, but like I'm just like,
is that like that thing we talked about, James, where we were talking about like with the what the fuck is they called, the fucking not the hoodies, the fucking the zips, quarter zips.
Oh, the quarters. Oh, that conversation. Oh,
Yeah.
I remember.
I mean, it's an offshoot of that. Like it just comes down like everything gets metabolized and politicized through the black body, right? Like I don't think Tommy Hilfiger was intentionally or Polo, whoever else was intentionally trying to make a market towards black people specifically at first. What happens is it becomes a thing in these black spaces, and then people start, and then because we're always surveilled, it's like, well, oh my God, they're wearing this now. And then it turns into, okay, well then, then it turns edgy, hip, cool, daring, whatever the fuck. And then from there, people start taking notice. It goes from there, and then it gets back to the people that created the stuff, and they're like, well, that wasn't the intention, or say something like, well, Hilfiger said it was way worse than what I'm saying it was. It was way worse than what I'm saying it was, and then you get a backlash, like similar to the Cristal stuff, right? People stop drinking Cristal because like Cristal was like, well, you've been getting all this free advertising from black music videos for at this point almost a decade, and then you come out and say something stupid say something unnecessarily mean-spirited, and it's like, all right, well, we off you then. Fuck you.
Right.
That's what happened to Hilfiger.
Yeah, I remember.
Ralph Lauren didn't make the same mistake.
My dad, I remember, was like, yeah, you're never wearing no Tommy Hilfiger. Like I was like out clothes shopping when I was like maybe 7 years old, when he was like, you don't like black people or whatever, and then I was like, I guess we ain't wearing no Tommy Hilfiger then. Like,
I remember I actually had like a bootleg joint, and I'm like, yep, the worst part about the bootleg was like super high quality, but as soon as man said that, it's like, yo, I'm not even wearing your knockoff stuff, man. I'm done.
Like I had that one Tommy shirt and those Tommy jeans, and I couldn't like in good conscience wear that anymore, like when like that started spread. And I was like, well, at least I got Carl Kanai still. At least I got these FUBU jeans. At least, like even up into the 2000s, I had one pair of NBA jeans. I'm sorry to say.
Oh, you had the crime jeans.
NBA jeans, like the pack, like the logos?
Brother, yes.
Why do you think I said bro had the crime jeans?
That's
Did you have a race car jacket too, Doc?
BMW, my brother. BMW. I had the BMW racing joint.
I don't think I've ever. Yeah, I never had the NBA patch jeans.
Yeah,
look, I wanted them. But
so that was the first pair of jeans I bought by myself when I had my job, when I got my first job.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, what's fire? I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy these Laker jeans because I like the Lakers. So I had the Laker jeans on, and I had like my my tall Shaq jersey on with that. That was my fit for that was my fitted Lakers hat too. So that was the whole thing, the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was standing for them.
Yo.
So.
I actually had a thought. It was like when you were talking. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
That was it. I was just making fun of myself.
All right. Like the one thing you're talking about, like when you're talking about like growing up, how how you dressed along with your friends and everything. So
Yeah.
in a way, that can be seen as cultural appreciation when people actually appreciate parts of a culture when it's actively being shared. That's what was going on with you. But in cases of like media and just people in general, that's cultural appropriation. You're just picking like cherry picking what you see as things that can enhance your personality when you absolutely have no personality of your own.
Yeah.
So that's that's the things like people don't understand, like between the two. It's like appreciation is it's active. It's like, and appropriation is just that's also active. I can't say it's passive, but it's just like it's active in a way that's violating. It's pretty much reducing culture down to like something that you can just like leaf through and then just like order from. So
Right.
you're cobbling together a personality while killing whatever you already had on your own.
I got a question for you guys. Actually, I got a statement for you guys. Kevin Federline.
I ain't heard that name in years.
Same.
Yeah. I just there's like this sort of like I remember in the 2000s, early 2000s, everybody had like their whole like if you even watch like the sitcoms, like there's the whole phase where the white kid like acts black. Or, we all watch Chappelle Show. I mean, I hope we all watch Chappelle Show.
Yeah.
Chappelle Show, not the new shit he's been doing, but like Chappelle Show, when like like one of my favorite skits there is like the wife swap one, right? Not like the Suchio white swap one, but like like he goes to the white family and then like he sees the white son. I'm from the streets, man. G unit, and then he drops the white kid off like in like the middle of of the projects. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Like that, right? So, I mean, like whenever we watch these hip hop documentaries, there's one thing that's always prevalent. Well, besides Michael Rappaport, by the way, fuck Michael Rappaport. It's
That guy.
How does he look dead and the funeral home forgot him?
Like that
Yo.
man. I'm convinced the only reason we know who Michael Rappaport is because of black people, and
Yeah.
he's done this thing where he basically used the Middle East conflict to be like, you know what, this is who I really want to be. I'm like, all right.
like
Somebody said like the movie we know him from. It's like, yeah, he wasn't acting. That's him.
Damn.
oh yeah. By the way, oh man,
Didn't think all like the sports stuff he was involved in. He was like a producer on the Knicks in the Garden series and all this other stuff. And it was just like, bad taste in my mouth.
yeah. For more on that, watch Bamboozled from 2000. Actually, no, you really just watch Bamboozled from 2000. That's a hella good movie. And goddamn man, he really is the narrator of the De La documentary. Like, goddamn,
Bunch of rap stuff too. Like he assimilated, and then he basically like once you move on, you're not necessarily day to day in whatever environments, or you got a new grift or whatever it is.
Yeah, like I watch that Snowball video like almost weekly, just to feel better because it's rough out there. Just and I'm gonna like ask you guys about this. So I've been watching a bunch of videos on cultural appropriation, on proximity to blackness, on and these are all like YouTube essays, right? So like the creators of these videos, whether they be white, Asian, or black, they all happen to be like, you know, from the COVID generation of kids, as I say, you know, and there's always this section, right, where the person, says, oh, shout out by the way to Exo Speaks, Antonio Talks, Spark Up. I love the Spark Up videos. Shout out to Lonnie. But like, there's always this part of the videos, these long essays where they talk about ownership of AVE, right? The ownership of Ebonics and language, and ownership of language. And I get it, right? And I was talking to you guys before we went on because like I have this whole diatribe about it where there's, you know, when you watch a video, you know, it's this they're using like, you know, this well-spoken, well, not Antonio, but like it's always like well-spoken, I guess coded in whiteness. Like the presentation is like, you know, something you'd see like out of a TED Talk. And it's like, you read the YouTube comments, is like, oh, you are so well spoken, your presentation is so clean, all that stuff. And that's like coach like in like, oh, so if they're so well spoken is a backhanded compliment, right? You guys have heard that before, right? Oh, you're so well spoken. Well, in my case is, wow, you speak English so
more
well,
times
like,
than I need to.
Yeah,
like I grew up north, like primarily like when I was probably, I would say, through a middle schooler, you know, a year in California or so. So like it was like, I was like reading education was like pretty like stringent, like, so, but I happened to pick all that stuff up. And then like immediately you learn how to like code switch and be amongst, you know, other people.
Yeah.
But you code switch out of like, not necessarily like, you know, as I was growing up, I didn't have everything figured out. It was just like, I'm just trying to represent myself as the best I can, is how I look at it. And then they'd be like, oh, you're so, you know, whatever. And then I'd be like, am I that special? Like, or is it like what's like, how many of, like, I guess like the rest, like, you know, other people, I'm like, I figured everybody was, you know, trying to do their own best, but
yeah,
you know, it's not always like that. And then I think the further as along as I went like into the workforce and then, you know, just gaining more life experience, it was like, oh, I see what it was. Like I was like an advanced like reader and like, you know, just somebody that could talk amongst different demographics, and that was like I was a fucking alien to them. That's what that was like.
Yeah, they try to put me in ESL like every year of like when I moved out here to Rancho Cucamonga, they try to put me in ESL class because they saw like the Spanish surname, they saw this kid who looked Chinese and like I'm quiet, so they didn't know like what the hell I was doing, but I kept getting good grades in math, so they're like, oh, I remember like my mom would always get calls to the house like in Spanish until she showed up. Because my mom was wild, and she showed up to the school and was like, do I look Mexican to you? And they're like, well, my mom kind of did look kind of Mexican because, you know, we're Filipino, so they're like, I mean, you look like a Chinese Mexican, but you know, but she went there and was like, no, we speak English. My son speaks English. He's just shy. He doesn't know anybody here. He's just shy. And I think like when it comes to like you speak so well. And the code switching part and the ownership of language, it's like there's a reason why we code switch, especially people from our generation. And I don't think the younger generation gets why code switching happens. They kind of see it as like, oh, this person is selling out. Like in a way, like I definitely see what Aquafina did, where she, you know, oh, I'm a rapper. I talk like this because I'm from Queens, and then she no longer does that. Right, it's no longer happening, and it's like
I had to look
when I code switch and I'm like around people.
You're not missing her, or not. You're not missing much about her.
No,
okay.
No. Yeah, I pretty much said all I did about, because you know I'm Asian American. I've been on like other shows where like they talk so much at length about Aquafina. I'm like, yo, I'm tired of talking about Aquafina. Can I talk about someone else? Because like Like I think about dudes like Timothy Changtorongsu, aka Timothy Delgado. You know, you all seen him like on
Oh, him. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. He was on was it one of
yeah, he was on
the
you know,
rap battle
Wild 'N Out.
show?
Yeah, he was on
Well,
Wild
I
'N
used to
Out.
watch him on YouTube, like, you know, as a rapper, like years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
Like he's
Right.
actually talented.
Yeah, yeah, he's cool. You know, he's also from Paramount City. If y'all are from SoCal, you know what Paramount City is. You know about like when like no matter what decade it is, there's always gonna be the Mexicans versus the blacks having like I'm sorry to say the blacks like that. Like I'm sorry, but Mexican and black people having like pretty much battles in the schools and all that stuff. And so also we also have like the Asian knuckleheads, the Usos coming up with like and in that area of SoCal, that area of like the LA County, it's a huge gang culture. And so Timothy, he's not a gangster. He's not a wankster either. He's just a dude who appreciates hip hop, who appreciates, that thing. His wife also happens to be, Afro Latina. And like he's never sort of been like trying to represent himself as a purveyor of black culture. He's just an appreciator of it. And there's a difference between what he does and what Aquafina did. Because when he hits all these other things, he's never switching up how he's talking. He never switch up his like attitude. Like, because I've talked to Tim like off camera. I talked to Tim like when I ran into him, and he's whatever you see like on his vlogs, whatever it is, that's him, right? And there's a big difference when you see people who are, I'm gonna say this movie because I love this movie, because I love Dante Bosco, but there's this movie called Faking the Funk, right? It's about this Asian dude who was adopted by black parents, and it's sort of like an identity crisis movie of like, what am I, right? What am I? And Tatiana Ali is in that movie, and she's man, Tatiana was my first crush as a little boy. That was my first crush. But like, let me just get to it. But like there's this ownership of language in these videos where they talk about you shouldn't be talking like that. Or there's this thing about code switching from me and my point of view where I can switch from, I'm gonna talk with my educated whatever, use my SAT words, and then I could talk like how I am when I'm casual. Okay. And there's always gonna be a difference between presentation me and like real me. And I think that there's sort of a disconnect with this generation of Gen Z kids where they see the code switch as you being fake. And in my case, it was never about that. It was like what Rich said about when you're going out for these job interviews, you're going to try to present the best version of yourself. And that might be a little bit of like self-reflection of like, is the best version of me trying to assimilate to this society and make this person believe like I'm a go-getter, I'm a worker, and I'm a solid person, and I don't use this kind of attitude, this kind of thing in my professional life, because in America, professional language is just to keep it 100 is talking like a customer service white person, like that's what it is. And it's sort of like it's a defense mechanism in a way, right? It's a defense mechanism in a way, because we've been there.
But it's also a survivalist technique.
Yeah, and I want you Dee, to speak on that, because I would love to hear you guys on that.
I can go first if that's okay. Okay, in regards to like code switching, considering the the generation that's actually talking about it, seeing is like, oh, you've sold out and everything. They don't understand why we do that. It's with the whole professional world, you have to be able to articulate yourself. You have to be able to speak in a way that it's going to resonate with any and everybody that's in that room, and mostly it's in a professional sense. So you do have to kind of fit within the pre-prescribed guardrails of what is considered acceptable language. But then when you have we end up code switching back, that's when you can end up feeling like your most authentic self, where you're not as, wound tight. Because when you have to be in that professional sense, that's when you have to be like, okay, I am me, but not necessarily like the fully actualized me, because unfortunately you still have to be cognizant of how, stereotypes work. Because when you're talking about, oh, you're so well spoken, and a lot of people say that, it's also people's stereotypes, because they don't expect us to be able to articulate something without without their preconceived notions of how black people are supposed to be, but mostly like in media portrayal too. They expect us to talk in like the more like exaggerated, let's see, I'm not going to say full on patois, but yeah, it's like between patois, talking in pidgin, like the broken up language. They expect that from us. So they think it's a compliment, but it's like wild insulting. It's like, okay, you only see us as, one-dimensional people. You don't see us as actualized people, just as an anomaly. So that's why some white people don't get how utterly insulting that is. So
Yeah.
You can look at that Kevin Nash thing where he was talking about, Javon Evans needs to be more urban. Like, just something as simple as that, right? Where he kind of gives the game away without realizing it, and then doubles down on it actually in just embarrassing fashion. And I'm not really interested in, if people think he's a racist or anything, because like that's like an escape route for when you fuck up. Well, I'm not a racist. We didn't say you were. We were talking about what you said. So,
let's have a conversation.
Yeah, and I would say just like as far as like code switching, it's like I think it goes back to an old like Jay-Z line. Is like show you how to move in a room full of vultures. Like there's vultures in there anyway, so you're just moving in the room.
Yeah. So, when it comes to code switching, like the thing that I think people forget when it comes down to it is all language is contextual, right? You're not going to talk to your friends the way you talk to your mom or grandmother, and therefore the so on. Like there are words that you're just going to leave at the door when it comes to talk to grandma. So like there are costs in every room you walk into as far as knowing how to talk to people. It's a more broader version of interpersonal communication, right? Like if there are things and words and terms that are shorthand that I can say as a person that's like, for example, I work out a lot, right? So like I've done CrossFit before. I can't use terminology to this person's never done CrossFit and then just pick it up and move on going forward, right? Like I'm like Rich has done CrossFit before, so like I can say something about like a WOD. He knows that means workout of the day. If I say AMRAP, he knows that means as many reps as possible in a time limit, right? If I say that to y'all may know, y'all may not know, right? And there's a cost to that in communication that gets lost of a feeling of intimacy when you're talking to somebody, right? Can I trust you? Do I know you understand the things that I'm saying to you, and you'll understand the things that I'm saying to me, right? And as a person, as a black person that went to a bunch of white schools, like you had to, for me, it was like, okay, well, I know I just recognize, okay, I know just in short term, like these terms, these words, this music, these particular things, these TV shows, they don't know none of that about that. Like I could talk to them about that and they would be like, they look at me like, I don't know what that is. Right. Yeah. So I can either continue bump my head against that wall when it comes to that, or I could be like, all right, these terms, throw them out. Because if I do say these terms, they start, a week after I say them, they'll start laughing and be like, and then they'll do the mimic voice, whatever else. And it's like, I'm not finna sit here and try to fight 50 white boys, right? Because what they're doing is problematic. I don't have the time, the capacity. We're at an age where like I can't articulate these thoughts well enough. We're in a group of boys. It's the masculine energy of being mean on purpose to toughen each other up. So it's like none of that stuff is going to be conducive towards actually getting towards, hey, you said these things as a problem. It doesn't get handled the way it should be because we're all that kind of stuff, right? And that happens in all spaces, right? So
Yeah.
and then taking it the other way is like, hey, on the other side is like, hey, these particular words, these particular terms, whatever else. I go to another room. They don't know that either, and I'm kind of, and it's one of those things of like a double consciousness, where like, okay, it's like almost like an on-off switch, or almost like an acknowledgement of like, these go here, these don't go here, like parts, and it's all due to segregation of space and also language. So, there's cost to not knowing how to talk to people. That's ultimately what it comes down to. I forgot what we were talking about. Also, another part of that. But yeah.
Yeah, man. That you guys hit it out the park on that one. I got it. I figured out what it was. So as far as Gen Z or younger generations, like younger than millennials, like their talk of authenticity, well, they're from an era where like they're very much more or less they grew up in a job market that's a lot shittier than ours. They don't have a semblance of, or they have less of a semblance of loyalty to a company or a space or to institutions that we had, because they have the internet and there's always another thing, right? Like we're the last. They're all fully digital. They grew up in a fully digital age. We are last analog. Where like you have these things that you have to,
like they didn't learn out of books like a lot of them. So
right.
There's also this part where it's like, look, I'm not finna kiss ass to this corporate overlord or this middleman for this corporate overlord for the rest of my life. I know that I have 2 years X, Y, and Z, and I know by the time I get old enough for Social Security, it will not be there for me, right? Like that's like the social safety nets are going to be gone. So I have no loyalty to these companies. So like I'm going to be myself. I don't give a damn how these people feel or whatever else. And quite frankly, they're a lot less. They have less guilt than we do. They're a lot more stress free than we are. But we're the last of that group that has that pull, because we feel like there are people that are going to be working at a job for decades or whatever else that are our age. Their age, that's not really a thing anymore. So that's why they're able. That's for them. They're more comfortable in being able to be more individualistic, if you will.
Yeah. And like that's just a difference between generations. That's a difference between like technology and education. I'm gonna bring this like a little bit. This might get a little bit more contentious, because now I'm gonna talk about another part of. Hey, what's up, Keshan? I'm going to go ahead and bring this about. Oh, perfect. So we got less is more here. He is a Zoomer, and I got a question for you, man. Because you just popped up at the right time. Now we have a representative here of this current generation. I got a question for you. So we were talking about code switching and ownership of AVE, and how a lot of people, I'm not going to say you because I know whatever, but like there are a lot of people from your generation, a lot of these YouTube essayists love to talk about authenticity in language when it comes to, AAVE. And I was wondering, like, do you feel like in that same like direction where if somebody code switches, they are inauthentic, or I just want to know what your take on that is.
As you mean, as like not being themselves?
Yeah.
I feel like if you're code switching, you're not being yourself. I always believe that you should be yourself. If you code switch, I don't think that you're naturally you're not comfortable with yourself. Like you trying to fit in with others, honestly.
Okay. What's your guys' take on that? Now that we have a representative of this generation, and we're not trying to mob you. We're not trying to mob you as all these old heads here, but I just want to get your guys' response to that. Man, that mac and cheese looks good, man. I gotta tell you that, Rich. That mac and cheese
was waiting for somebody to say something about it. No, I'll say this. Like, you know, like we were saying, like there's a generational divide on this, and I don't know Kashawn and his background, where he grew up from, and everything like that. But I'm sure his lived experience informs that take. But I look at it as someone it's like you're never just population wise. It feels like if you are only ever around people you feel like you can 100% be yourself, I think you're missing out on a lot of people. And you never know who you'll meet. You never know what situation you'll be in. You missed this part before, but James mentioned like a lot of that stuff. It does come down to being understood and going for what is a universal language that everyone can understand. Because, like, you know, what if I'm talking to somebody that is, let's say I go to France or something like that, right? Or I go to Russia or something, right? Like they're not looking at me necessarily as like if I'm talking with slang or anything like that. They're looking at me to like understand anything. They're thinking about the language of English first. So like I think it's kind of a limiting way to kind of look at things as far as like maybe someone not being themselves, because who you are can change as a person, you know, year by year per se, every 4 to 5 years too. And if you're the same person you are at, you know, what, 50 or 40 as you were at 20, I think you missed a few things. Yeah. So like what I'll add into what Rich has said as far as the in different, if you were to go different places, travel different lands, whatever else, places that speak English as second language or whatever else. The thing that's frustrating for people that code switch, or not even people that code switch, just black people, right? Black people can code switch if they so choose. And whatever's being said to them, they understand. They're from wherever, right? You from Atlanta, Georgia, how black people talk in Atlanta, Georgia, right? Compared to, let's say, New Orleans, right? And there's a difference, even like just the breathiness of a New Orleans accent, right? You can still understand that just contextually, if you just keep your ears open, you can pick up stuff and understand contextually what these different things mean, right? The problem comes really is that white people, we understand all the words that come out their mouth. They don't understand what we're saying. Right? You know what I'm saying? We for real, like you can go like right, the Caribbean Queen, right? We can go to Jamaica, and unless they get real with it, real blood raw with it, we can understand the patois, right?
Oh yeah, just as long as they ain't too deep in Ray and Nephew, I can understand what they're saying.
Yeah,
right.
As long as like we don't have no you to ice kind of thing.
All right, we ain't gonna start that. Moving on.
So you go to Cali, we can understand the Cali dudes and what up, all that.
Right.
We understand all that. What up, Don? All that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They in Chicago. They sound like they from Alabama, Mississippi, because that's where they people from, right?
Yeah.
And all throughout the Middle West, all that, right? So we understand all that. But when we understand all that stuff, like
that's why, man. And bitch, don't just keep looking. Just add man. Bitch, you better complain.
So you go to Cali, we can understand the Cali dudes and what up, all that,
right?
That. We understand all that. What up, Don? All that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They in Chicago, they sound like they from Alabama, Mississippi, because that's where they people from, right?
Yeah.
And all throughout the Middle West, all that, right? So we understand all that. But we understand all that stuff, like all the, let's say, all the OS, all the different operating systems. But white people, because this is a white dominated society. They never had to pick up any other OS. The only thing they ever see is through media and their times interaction with black people, even though so much of their lives are segregated away from black people. So they don't understand us. So who's going to bridge that gap? If we are working for the white man, right? Or we're trying, or because we know that's where they have the money, they have the resources, they have the tools, they have all that, right? To get the money in a capitalist society, how are you going to bridge that gap to where they feel trustful enough of you to get a check from every 2 weeks? And therefore, so that's how black people have bridged the gap historically. Now, should we have to do that? Absolutely not. But these are the real life applications of the struggle.
Yeah, because with you saying that, that's the way of how we got to survive these days.
Yeah.
You know, we don't want to be out here. We don't want to be out here struggling. Otherwise, you know, we out here we're on the streets. We begging for food and everything. We want to go against, you know, our own bosses and everything, but we got to be safe. We got to think about family and everything. We got to think about ourselves, how we gonna pay our bills. You know, and it's a tough challenge, but it's something that we got to go along with sometimes.
Right,
Yeah.
and that is the life of living under white supremacy. Like capitalism is a tool of white supremacy.
Ooh.
Like can we abort and get out of this system when you have all these other real life things pulling at you that you have to fight off before you can fight on the biggest struggle?
Man.
All right, I'm back. My bad. I had to take a call.
Man, you
you're good. You're good.
You hit on something there, James. Like we are dealing with, because we're all here, we're all people of color coming here to, you know, it's not appeasing the white man. It's just like, this is the culture. This is the culture of the world at large. This is the international culture of trying to like fit in with this sort of mechanism of how it works, of like professional jobs, like your career and all that. And we're just trying to survive out here. We're just trying to make sure that we have some sort of baseline of like income, of like when we go to job interviews, like they're gonna notice us and we're gonna like fall into like because we're all cogs in the machine that is capitalism and society. And yeah, man, that really hits, man. Now I'm gonna move on.
Sucks, don't it?
Yeah, it hits so hard, man.
Because I was listening to that. It's like, dude, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like, especially when you're talking about like language and how black people interact throughout the United States. It's like we usually pick up on context really quick. So if we're being honest about it, it's like black people, we're literally like, you know, mobile sentient Rosetta Stones. We're the ones that, you know, we have to translate, you know, what we hear and how we respond, you know, while dealing with white people. No, they, you know, in society as it's generally perceived, they're considered the default. They're considered the ones that they don't have to change. We have to accommodate them, which the whole concept is amazingly stupid. But yeah, that's why we end up code switching. We unfortunately have to accommodate to the people that have the resources that we need, which, you know, hopefully we can take said resources and, you know, build things on our own. So unfortunately, as much as, you know, we would love to be like our full authentic selves, and in some cases it's unfortunately, you know, frowned upon, which again, you know, it's peak trash. But it's the fact that it's a survival thing. You know, some other generations won't necessarily get that, which, you know, I appreciate oh boy saying what he said, because like I'm not here to like necessarily like refute your, you know, this is what you've learned, this is what is essentially, you know, a truism to you. However, you know, there's a lot more out there to, you know, figure out. It's like, okay, you're part of this generation. I'm technically part of the Zennial generation, so like right on the back end of like Gen X, you know, millennial. I hate the terminology, but that's it's whatever. So, but yeah, that's how you can tell, like, by generation, how people end up having to move through this world, especially black people. We've had to evolve in ways that, I'm not going to say full on stunted us, but yeah, in some cases it has stunted us. So that's why we have the code switching, because that can actually, like, it's like, I hate doing this because it shows how much of a nerd I am. All right, think about Dragon Ball Z with power scaling.
Hey,
Code switching is taking the limiter off.
hey. Rich is not going to get that at all.
Could you?
But-
Well, I mean, he understands power scaling as far as he understands power scaling as far as you put it in video game terms.
Oh yeah.
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 It's
so,
it's like putting your sliders up to 99.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See,
you
translation in real time.
Hey,
Like I said, in all
doing
things, there language is contextual, right? Like there are tons of times where I explain these things in these on the show on One Nation Radio in like these comic book terms or like sci-fi terms or the superhero movie terms, or whatever else. And then with Rich, because Rich don't give a fuck about nonfiction outside of Mortal Kombat, really, right? Yeah. So like I have to port that information to ways he understands, because like this is for the larger audience. I'm talking to him. I'm talking to him in a conversation, and like a lot of the conversation with me and Rich is like these conversations me and him would just have, but like there happens to be an audience, and I recognize the audience, and a lot of the audience understands this, but Rich don't. I think it's funny when Rich don't know this shit.
I actually was going to bring it up, like when we're on One Nation Radio, if it's not something like a comic book term or something like that, if it's just us throwing shit back and forth, like it's almost like the audience is there, but like I'm not worried about the audience. We're making them adjust to us and our inside jokes and the things we say. Like we really don't explain shit. Like
that's
typically
that's the best part, man. Like you bring us in the room.
Like
right?
we
that's
assume
what I love. That's what I love. Like I'm in the room with you guys, and like I'm like, I get it, man. I get what you're saying. I understand, and that's what I love about that. And that's kind of what I try to foster with my show, because I did shows with all four of you guys, right? And so like I'm mixing. I have like I had the nerd coded language with D, and I was talking. I was kept calling James chocolate skyscraper because he's a tall dude. He's a tall drink. He's a tall cup of chocolate right there.
That is a crazy name.
Thank you. He did. I was on the show and he said, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna let it slide. I said to Rich off air, man. I don't know if I like the chocolate skyscraper shit. I don't know about that one.
But
I've never, you know how like there you go online, you go Instagram, whatever else, and like whenever there's black women that particularly like fetch the eye of white men on Instagram, you get that chocolate bar emoji.
Yeah.
Yo.
Right. So
yes.
I don't know what you're talking about. I do not have Instagram. I do not have Instagram.
Brother, I have a
brown skin. Find yourself.
I got a story. I got a story for you, man.
Go for it.
Let's go.
Okay. Like going along, with the whole thing is like with the white guys, and suddenly finding black women attractive. Well, not suddenly. It's like you need to see some people's DMs. But moving on. So this was around the time when I was still like actively like doing music, traveling, because I was a keyboard player in a band, and the type of music that I was doing was like goth industrial. Easiest way to say it, like around like 9 Inch Nails, KMFDM, whatever.
Okay.
So
love it.
All right, so we were doing like load in and everything. So we did our load in. So I was just like chilling, whatever. And tell me why this one guy just came up to me. Just I don't know his name. Don't know this man from a can of paint. Bro just rolled up to me. It's just like, good afternoon, my beautiful chocolate Nubian queen. I'm like, what? I turned around as like, because I was seriously thinking somebody pranked me, and I just looked at him. I was like, "Excuse me?" It's like, "I'm talking to you." I was like, "No, you're not."
No.
How did you get in here? We have security. Get out.
Yo.
It's already bad enough. I'm like, black people in industrial is a rare thing as it stands. Even though there's actually a lot of black industrial musicians, clipping would actually count as industrial. But point of the matter is this: it's like Why would you say that? If I went up to you and just like called you a bag of King Arthur flour, you'd be ready to fight me.
Yo,
So why that's not cute. That's creepy.
Yo.
Go away.
Hey man, like I've been out there with like my I have cousins, they're females and they're women, like Filipino women, and like to hear some of the lines that some people come up with, them like, hey, you look very exotic. I love your culture. You're very beautiful. You're very striking. You stand out from the crowd. But like, how you doing? And like, it's a different level of creep because it's always.
Why did you? Hearing that made me want to throw a chair, man.
I know.
They think we're zoo animals.
It's the worst.
And I hate that.
It's the worst.
I hate that.
It's the worst.
Like once a white person throws exotic at you, they gave up the game right then.
That's so bad. Like
like we're like I just got off my shift. You are not on safari. Get the fuck out of here.
Yo, like when I went, cause like I went to like you go here to West Hollywood, right? So a straight guy like me, I'm big. I got a beard, so I'm somebody's type out here. I'm straight. But like I go out there and like some dude was hitting on me with my wife right there, and he's like, "Hey, man, so where are you from? I bet I know where you're from. Let me guess what kind of Asian you are. You're definitely you're Vietnamese, huh? I know you. Choi oi, you're Vietnamese. Let me. I was like, no, sir. Actually."
I had to turn on the camera. I was that upset.
I can tell you this right now. Once you start talking to white people, and they start like guessing what particular country area of the continent your people are from, that's a eugenicist. Get out.
That was so
Get
bad,
out.
man. My God.
He's right though, because it's just like it's just like, okay, let me guess what, like, kingdom, phylum, genus, what it's like. No,
because because once you start getting into the based off of, because basically you're like, oh, you're like talking about like skull shapes. Okay, we're done.
Yeah, that shit was Django.
You're not
Unchained.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I was like at first I'm like, okay.
Man tried to...
Remember when the nigga pulled the skull out, like
with the calipers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yo,
yeah, man trying to do dating phrenology on you.
I was like, okay, I don't know. I guess I give out like that energy. My wife says like I give out that gay energy for some reason. No shame in that. Giving out the gay. I'm fine with that. But like, just to hit me up with that point, like, let me get what Asian you are, as like that's your pickup line. Like, I'm like, man, this is how my cousin feels. This is how my wife feels all the time, because my wife is like, also she's like, what's it called? She's racially ambiguous, right? So she gets set up with so many. Yeah. And so D, you brought up Dragon Ball, right? You brought up Dragon Ball earlier.
Yeah.
So how I learned Spanish. So I learned Spanish through watching Dragon Ball Z on Telemundo.
Oh, damn. Okay, all right.
So between watching Triple A and Lucha Libre and Galavisión, like after watching that's how I learned it. Also, I grew up with a lot of Mexican people, Honduran, like El Salvadorian, like Palm Park's full of them, and so, and I also took, I took 4 years of Spanish in high school. I honored Spanish, and then I took some Spanish classes in college, and then like in my profession, when I was working, I would have to speak Spanish. And this week I did a full podcast in Spanish. You guys know, like, I do state of wrestling. My partner is Arturo. He's Puerto Rican, and the Spanish I speak is different from the Spanish he speaks. Right. And like having to switch, like, yeah, and having to switch like the Spanish that I use, like, because I'm more of a Chicano. I'm more like in that sort of wave. Like, you hear how I speak Spanish, and like, oh, he's from LA. Like, like I'm from LA. I'm from San Diego. Like, I'm from Southern California, and like we did a podcast with this lucha libre film historian from Mexico City, and to sort of like hear like the different Spanishes all three of us were speaking, and like I'm trying to like, if I go too formal, it's not going to be like, I'm not going to be able to speak Spanish like comfortably, right? I'm not going to be able to speak, but like I have to like switch my Spanish so that Arturo could get it, but Arturo, like, he's from Puerto Rico, and then like we have the Spanglish thing in there, and then I'll shout out Orlando Jimenez Ruiz. He's a film historian, El Crítico Enmascarado. Like, he speaks mostly like it's Spanish, it's Mexican Spanish, and like to go into that world and then like to kind of like figure out like, because we're talking about keywords and phrases and trying to think like that and like having this communication, and like if you hear it, and I was listening back to it, and like he kept asking. He kept asking to clarify like between what I'm saying to me and then clarify what Arturo was saying to him, and then we're all clarifying all the different Spanish terms to each other. It's kind of funny. But look out for that. Look out for that. And there's that. There's code switching in all these different languages and different cultures. And I just want to like bring that up. Like, code switching is also tied to language, and that's what you guys were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Another thing that
now imagine if there was a Dominican on the line.
Oh my God.
Oh no. I know Dominican. I know Dominican Spanish.
Everybody's Spanish is so different. Yep. That's the reason why I mentioned it. Yeah.
And that's why I don't speak Dominican Spanish. It gets me in trouble.
Oh man. Que lo que. So there's also this thing, okay? So along with culture vultures, there's also I think for all of us, there's the thing about hair and there's the thing about color. So in Filipino culture, there, and especially in the beauty standards, it's all about skin lightening and hair straightening. And there's this uncomfortableness about it where, you know, even on TV, and I know for you guys, I know Rich is light skinned, but like there's this whole like beauty standard for having lighter skin, having the features of more of an Anglo nose, having like, you know, more straight, more functional hair. That's what makes you beautiful, and that's also a part of white supremacy. And when it comes to here in the Filipino vein, it's because, you know, we were always like, you know, dominated by the Spanish, but like once the Americans came in with that beauty standard of you speak English, you have to like, if you are full on Filipino, you're actually not attractive, you're actually like lower class. And I know there's a whole thing about in African American culture and studies, because I did do a African American studies course. Yes, I am that guy. And I, you know, along with my Asian American study courses, and you know, I hope we all watch Sinners. And and this ties up also
but I get the gist.
Yeah, and you know,
whenever you get a chance, it's worth it.
Yeah, if you get a chance, it's worth it.
Kugler's my favorite director ever.
Yeah.
So I just haven't watched it because like either I get onto something like the second it happens, or I have to wait so I can get past all whatever like discourse online is there, so I can kind of just get it out my mind so I can just watch on my own.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Because I'll come into things, because if I come to something late, like I'll come into it and then I'll have all these like conflicting thoughts, as opposed to thinking about like, do I actually like this for myself? You know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I'm gonna tie this Filipino, African American, and white and mixed race thing, because in the movie there is, of course, dang, I forgot her name. I was gonna say it like I know her name.
The only reason I know, because she's currently married to Josh Allen, because Bills. Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah. So Haley Steinfeld, right? So we know Haley Steinfeld. She's actually, you know, I found out like her grandparents is like African American. Also, one of her grandparents is also Filipino. So it's all tied there. Yeah, and there's there's this sort of like connection between that, because as again I tie in Filipino-ness and blackness, there's like when you have the mixed race person and, you know, they have the good hair, they have like, they have the nice nose, the nose isn't too flat, like it's all tied to like, this is the beauty standard. And D, I know like just in general, because it's National Women's Day, like women are kept to a certain standard of beauty, and whether that be the clean girl aesthetic or any of that, it's all proximity to whiteness. And how the beauty industry sort of deals with that, it's it's still not good. Although shout out to
Oh, no,
Rihanna
it's-
and Fendi. Shout out to her.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like when it comes to like beauty standards, specifically with like black women, it just gets nasty. Like, okay, good example. You mentioned hair. It's like my hair. It's twisted out. I used to have like the the straight backs, aka the I might do light fraud kind of hair.
Oh man, the set it off Queen
Don't
Latifah
do
hair.
this. Damn it! That's
did
why
it.
I said don't.
I did it.
I already knew where it was going. I knew it was going to go to fucking
Hey.
set it off.
Hey yo,
I didn't
had
say
straight
it.
backs
That's
too.
on Doc.
I had straight backs too in 2002. I want to say that I had
As
straight
soon as I
backs.
heard straight backs, I knew where it was going.
Okay, all right. Moving on. But
Have you ever watched back that right before she died when she's smoking that cigarette and her lips start quivering? Oh my god, it's
Yo,
unintentionally
that was
hilarious.
hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
It was
I
hard.
feel like you can put like a bunch of different songs over that, and it would just be just
yeah, somebody needs to do
Denzel
that.
tried to do it in
Iconic
Training Day. It
Iconic
wasn't as good, man. I gotta say that Denzel
Yeah.
in Training Day, that scene was not as good as Set It Off. But go ahead, D.
Okay. Okay. In regards to like beauty standards, it's hell. I do not mind telling you because even look at it in media, like the media standpoint. It's like when it comes to like fashion, like people on the runway, it's like you just only have like so many black women, and even then they're tied to like certain standards. Like just I'd say recently, some of them have actually been able to like walk with their natural hair. So any other time, it's always just been like everything was like a very, very narrow box. Like if you get a chance, like look up how Karl Lagerfeld ended up like running some of his stuff. Yeah, but either way, when it comes to beauty, it's like the closer you like positioned yourself to like whiteness, doesn't matter how, that somehow makes you like more acceptable. Like when people do like the whole was it the whitening cake soap? Yeah, because black, for some reason, like the concept of blackness has always been tied to, like something lower, something base. So they figure it's like, for some people, if you can, quote unquote, scrub that sin away, the closer you would be to whiteness. Like, hell, good example, Sammy Sosa. You remember how dark that man used to be?
Yo.
Because now it's like, all right, hold on, it's like, let me find this. Like, bro, he's about as light as my pillow.
Yeah, Sammy Sosa looked like Ricky Ricardo in black and white, man. That's what he looks like.
Right.
That's how
And dude looks like a busted tin of Grand's biscuits now.
Oh man.
I don't know what happened with
But
Sammy Sosa.
but I'm not wrong.
I just
Right,
looked
yeah.
one day and he was different.
Yo, Vibes Cartel, because Vibes Cartel, once he got out of jail, he did that whitening soap too. Look him up when you get a chance.
Yeah. The whitening soap is big in like the Philippines too, and like I remember like I used to use like this thing because I had acne. It was called Escanol, and that was like a skin lightener. But I was just using that to try to get rid of my acne. But like that ties like the flat nose being like that's not attractive. The dark skin like in I'll say this in Asian culture, like, oh, you're out in the sun, so that makes you more dirty. So let's make you lighter so you look less dirty, which is so gross if you want to think about it. That's so gross.
Same.
But yeah, like this conversation, this is it's a difficult conversation to have, but I'm happy we're having it. I gotta say that, like, and as an outsider, like, kind of just like looking in and asking these questions and just wondering, like what can I do to like not be a part of that problem? Like, because you guys hear how I'm talking, like I'm talking because of my environment, because of the people around me, because of how I surround myself with, because of the media that I engaged in. There was a part like in this one video where people said, "Yeah, how come like millennials use all this different ebonics from different parts of the country, and like they kind of put it in their own
internet
terminology?"
Yep.
It's the internet.
Yep, the internet, because it's
MTV,
cultural dispersion.
BT, and the internet. So like, if I'm saying hello a lot, it's because like I got a lot of Bay Area people like that are down here, so we are gonna say hello. We're gonna say we're gonna get dumb, like if like Rich said, I am not from like Inglewood or Compton, but like you're gonna get brazy. It depends on who. If you speak the wrong kind of language, depending on what neighborhood you're on, you might find yourself in trouble. And that's why I never do that. I respect all colors. I respect all. I do not claim a set for anybody. Please do not come for me. Please. Whether that be, and I'm not going to name you because I want to remain alive. But anyway, yeah, thanks. I want to thank you guys for like coming here and having this conversation because it's really important, and I feel like a lot of like our listeners, and I say our because like you have your audience, I have my audience, and there's a lot of cross in between, especially when I look at my emails. And like you guys, when you came on, I got a lot of the people that I see in our Discord come in and like give like kudos for having you guys on, and I want to say thank you for that. First off, yeah, let me start with this. Thank you for James and Rich for being the first two guys to put me on and come on my show and like give me like the confidence to go ahead and do this, because now I'm like a year in recording, and it's because of you guys that I get in trouble for saying the things that I say. So thank you guys.
I don't know if that was a thanks or a blame. I don't know how to take that one.
Just take the blessing and keep it moving, man.
Yeah. As long as you tell some you enjoy, Doc, that's awesome.
Yeah. I love like I'm like educating the audiences, whether that be your audience or my audience, and I think there's a lot of cross listeners through it. It's good to educate people, especially I know you guys have a lot of international listeners that have no idea what we're talking about or have never like sort of been in this sort of non-homogenized, very diverse sort of society, which the United States of America is.
That's one of the things especially with the internet, I think that people have kind of as they picked up a bunch of different things like languages they like terms they should not be using because it's not in their community. One of the things that I have learned, and I've been, I guess I don't want to say the word fascinated, but interesting is where it's like the way like these racial structures and institutions, like racialized structures and institutions, like are different or just flat out different historically to today from country to country based off the history of imperialism. So like, like I've kind of have like, looked around different places, like how did they come to these terms, whatever. Because like ultimately the main thing is like racism is real. These are things that like people in power created to then justify their way to exploit labor and resources from other people in their land. So, including the bodies that they're from natively. So, like, it's always interesting to see how these different countries come up with this stuff, and then we all end up with this particular space where like we weren't meant to actually be able to communicate all these ideas that way to each other, especially with the barrier of language. But now we have, these translators that can flip these things back and forth, so we can get a not 100% idea of what exactly we're saying to each other, which isn't great because it's not 100%. It's always interesting to see how this stuff comes from day to day, and the things I learn on the internet every single day is like, wow, that's interesting and also horrific.
Yeah, like
that's a daily thing right now.
When I went to Osaka, right? I went to Japan for like a vacation.
Another remember we saw the different accents or whatever else. Osaka, they people in Tokyo make fun of people in Osaka in their accent.
Oh yeah, they do, like to the point they actively hide their accents if they have to like go to like the mainland or something.
Yeah, if you ever seen like Asuka did a live stream with Shinsuke. Asuka did a live stream with Shinsuke Nakamura, And like if you like watch the because there's a guy that did Purissa with subtitles. Like he's basically mocking her, calling her like a hick, and like, oh, I don't really understand what you're saying, and like it's like,
country.
oh, you too country for me. But like, so when I went to Osaka, right? So we're walking down the street, and all of a sudden, I'm hearing like "Ride with Us," and then I'm hearing like, like I'm hearing East Siders, and I'm like, what's going on here? And there's a street takeover in Osaka with Japanese cholos, and I hear like
ride with us. That
yeah.
one.
Yeah. So we're walking there, right?
Oh no.
We're walking there, and I'm like, I just let out one, hey, what's up, fool? And like, all of a sudden, there's this one like this Japanese is like, hey, what's up? And like oh. And then, like, we're exchanging, like, Spanish, and I'm like, oh, shit.
What?
Why are there...
What?
But, like, then I figured it out, like, because, so Japanese, like, if you're Asian and you're in a set, and then you go to jail, you're going to be with the Hispanics, the Mexicans. You're going to ride with the Cholos.
Oh.
Same thing, like...
I know that.
Same thing, like, with
Filipinos.
Like, if you're Filipino... You're riding with the Mexican set, and it's a whole like different thing. So when I like was looking up, like, oh, okay, so there's actually cholos in Thailand, cholos in Vietnam, cholos in Philippines, because of Southern California gang culture, all that stuff, and then deportations. So like languages kind of like transcends that stuff, and it's sort of weird. And then if you go look at more Japan stuff. I know I brought up Yuto Ice, but then like you look up Rasta, right? You look up Rasta, and then like you see guys like there's this one DJ that I like, and he's like Oga, and then like you hear these Japanese who go to Japan and then they learn English from their English teacher happens to just speak in the patois, so then they end up speaking in the patois, and then again that's in Osaka too because Osaka has a high population of like internationals, and that's why like Osaka Pro Wrestling, and that's why when New Japan does their Fantastica Mania shows, they do a lot of shows in Osaka because there's a high population of Latin Americans, Mexican American expats, etc., and that's why they do Fantastica Mania shows there. Just a little bit of like a little bit of education for people, and I think go ahead.
Oh, well, when you were talking about the fact that there were like, Japanese cholos, it's like, at first I was kind of surprised, but I was like, no, I shouldn't be, because, there was like a whole thing like in Japan, but there's been like a downside of that, or it's not too much a thing anymore. Gyarus, the Japanese girls that would like actively tan and have like a whole like valley girl type of thing. Yeah, so gyarus aren't so much a thing anymore. Yeah. So that
learned that through Joki. That was weird.
That's I'm. There's sort of like when I see a group of Japanese people sea walking and going viral for doing sea walking, I'm like, oh well, that's cool, but like I don't know if they understand like just what they're doing and what that dance means, because that again that's another form of like culture vulturing, and I'm gonna bring up K-pop now.
Oh boy.
And like
I'm fine with that. I don't listen to that.
yeah. So like
go right ahead.
Yeah, man. Come for me. Go ahead. Come for me. Go ahead. But like, there's this whole thing in K-pop where they sort of like they steal the R&B music, they do the dancing, they steal the fashion, and there's no acknowledgement of that, right? There's no acknowledgement of like where this comes from, and then you get like a bunch of teenagers seeing like these guys with that fashion. They're like, oh, that's Korean fashion. I'm gonna do that because it's Korean. And it comes from them, and I'm like, and there's no acknowledgement. But I'm gonna say like I think Jaegoon, because my nieces. I know my nieces sometimes listen to the show, so I'm sorry, nieces. Please don't hate me. Uncle loves you, but the guys you listen to kind of like steal their oh man, I'm about to age myself. I'm not gonna say that word. But they steal their they steal their whole fashion. They steal like a lot of the identity from African American hip hop culture, and and like as far as giving it back, people kind of cite Megan Thee Stallion. I love Megan Thee Stallion and her love of like K-pop, of Asian food, of Asian culture, of anime, and I don't they also say that about like Mercedes Monet, and I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty cool to see like people of other cultures enjoy other cultures, but the difference is Mercedes and Megan, they acknowledge what they're liking is Asian. They acknowledge what they're liking is Korean, is Japanese, etc.
Also, Doc, why you think black people love Bruce Lee and Kung Fu so much? Like,
hey man,
it's like it's
Yeah,
kind of like a
shared.
exactly. Like, I'm a karate man. So
hey, I love the Kung Fu
He calling
movies.
himself a
I love.
karate man. He's in Taekwondo. We ventured into some
No, see,
big
see
problems.
now now he's out here mixing disciplines. Get this man out.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Karate man. Meanwhile, Taekwondo's Korean.
Hey, yo, James, I gotta tell you
Not in
this.
a literal sense.
Let me tell you this. Okay, I went to a Taekwondo school, but you know what the name of that school was? Southern California Karate Institute. But my teachers were like from Korea. They were military Korean men who spoke stern English, but they knew to promote their school they had to call it karate. So, like when
That's cultural adaptation. So
when I was a kid and I took Taekwondo, it was taught by a white man and it was called Taekwondo. So,
Yo. Hey, there's
all
nothing.
all I'm saying is at least my white man stood 10 toes in it. 10 toes
Hey,
down,
yo.
right?
There's nothing like.
You're not doing none of this karate shit because it's not karate shit. It's Taekwondo kicks.
look what you did.
My grandmaster Korean, so
Well, man.
Oh.
Man.
Then you should know better.
Yo, man, there was nothing like being a kid and having to do push-ups on a wooden board with rice grains because my dad said, "Hey, make sure you make him do this thing because he doesn't listen to me anymore." So anyway, that's a whole other thing.
No, see, you said the whole rice thing. Okay, no, because I know Jamaican people is like the way they punish their kids made them kneel on rice.
Oh yeah, we had to do knuckle push-ups on the rice if we did something, but that was after class when all the nice kids were left. My dad would say like, "Oh no, we're staying after," and I know like when we were staying after, that meant like, oh, shit.
Just out of curiosity, your dad wouldn't happen to be like a drill sergeant or something, because that sounds like something an officer would actually end up doing.
Oh my goodness! So my dad was actually a police
stepped on a
officer
landmine.
in the Philippines.
How'd I know? How did I know?
And so a lot of his disciplinary things come from like that sort of background. Also, my grandpa was a lawyer for the Filipino military. If you guys know your history, my grandpa was actually in the same fraternity as Ferdinand Marcos. Just if you wanted to know where my dad's family background, that's how. No, so don't look that up. Don't look that up. Don't like see like we're connected and sort of thing, because now you're gonna think like I am. But anyway,
He saw me looking down at my phone. He's like, "No, don't do that. Put that down. Put that down."
Yeah. So like I'm gonna tell the story because I told Dee this story at the beginning, right? And I think this is very important to tell. So my dad, I call him a Filipino Dusty Rhodes, right? Because he has the same kind of coarse hair. He's got the big belly. He dances. He says "bebe" a lot, and he has a slight lisp, right? So this is my son. This is my son. Okay, but anyway, so like when he came to America from the Philippines, a lot of the jobs he got he was a cable man, he was a doorman, He was an electrician, all that stuff, right? So many odd jobs here and there. And so a lot of his friends, his work friends, were African American. They were black. So a lot of the times he'd be surrounded by people, speaking, by black people. And I think also they saw my dad because he's dark as hell. He's like almost the same shade as James. Like, that's how dark my dad is. And it's... So the language that he talked, the way that he spoke English was, I don't know if they still use this word, but jive-ish, I guess. So
jive as in, like...
Jive turkey.
Yeah, that's...
No, like the movie Airplane, it's like, excuse me, stewardess, I speak jive, type jive.
Yeah, so like those are my dad's good friends when he came here. It was all like... because like you're in LA, you're in Compton, you're in East LA, and then you're working in these like warehouses, these buildings, and like all his coworkers and like his social group. Besides like my uncles, was black people. They like go to karaoke, black people, but whatever. And so like the way he spoke English was jive. And then I'm gonna turn the camera on. I'm gonna show you guys like when my dad. This is how my dad walks when he like comes to see his friends. Or when my black friends are coming goes by like, what's up?
This man doing the walk.
Yeah, that's my dad, right? That's my dad. And like, he still loves like the R&B music. He loves Luther Vandross. Like he'll sing, Teddy Pendergrass. He'll do all that stuff. Filipinos will sing. Yeah. And whenever like my black friends would come over, he'd greet them, and I this is I'm not gonna say the word, but he would go, "What's up?"
He's that Vince McMahon.
Yeah. And like he kept doing that, right? He was doing this to my friends. Like we're like they came over, like we're 10, 11, whatever. Same thing. Okay, then when we're finally like in our 20s, same thing. But this time we're in our 20s. He comes over with the Hennessy, and he's like, "What's up? Here, well, you're gonna drink some Hennessy, like some real gangster shit. Come on." And like, yeah, he said gangster shit. Like you're going to drink the Hennessy like gangster shit, like Tupac. Come on, motherfuckers, let's go. And like, like that's learned language from my dad and his friends, and who my dad was friends with in America. And I think that was his form of sort of like code switching and mirroring the attitudes and the languages of his friends and his social group. And I thought
he's hanging around some mad niggers folk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, cause not every, like, black people not among them. Not every black person drinks drinks cognac, drinks Hennessy. Not everyone does.
No, because that way leads to problems.
Yeah, right. That's why they don't drink it. So yeah. Does he know how to play spades?
Yeah, we play spades and dominoes, but we also play Mahjong.
Yeah. Wait. No. I got another question. No.
Dominoes was a given.
No.
Does
he know how to play bid whist? Does he know how to play bid whist?
I don't know, but probably. So when we're gambling, when we were gambling, like he does shoot dice. That's the game he plays whenever we go to like the casino.
Shit, even I don't do that. Goddamn.
I ain't never played dice in my life.
Yeah. Like my dad would always wear a gold chain, gold ring, gold watch, and like wear that vest, like yeah. But my dad would also have the.
Did your dad ever say these just instruments, these shiny things, they nice, but these just instruments to get the bitches? Right? Did he go full on Pimp C?
Yo, I'm like observing like my dad when I was growing up, and I'm like, why does he? And I'm like, so my uncle also, his youngest brother also came to America. Like I think he was like in his 20s when he came here, and he also like, he came here. We're playing like bass guitar, going into the bands, getting like the jam band stuff, And then, you know, my uncle is Mikey Nez from Alice in Chains, and he brought over some guys to like house parties, and like I'm gonna tell you guys off air who he brought, but like anyway, but like there's like this, when someone comes over from another foreign country and then they adapt to who their social group is, that's also a form of, I guess, that's assimilation. And it just so happened my dad happened to assimilate with African American people from and now like I'm looking back on my life growing up, I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense why he did the things he did, and he dressed the way he dressed, and he talked the way he talked. I'm like, but like it's not good, especially like so many times I had to tell my dad, like, Dad, you can't say that to my friends, please. Like, you cannot say that to like my friend's dad. You can dap him up, okay? Because my dad would dap everybody up. That's my dad. but you can't say that word, please. Please don't say that word, please.
So on to that, right? Like you talk about assimilation. So like that is one of the big things about like when you talk about like different ethnicities outside of black when it comes to being in America, right? Like you have Asian Americans, you have Latin Americans, and so forth and so on, and like their idea of like being a part of this country is, a lot of it is they came here willingly and they want to be here, and then you have part of them assimilating where they marry into white families, and then you see over time like their bloodline changes, right? That's assimilation, right? And that's not 100% a thing. Like it's overblown. People talk about assimilation that way, but compared to black people have a different type of racial self-esteem or cultural self-esteem, whereas like we don't really care to assimilate in that way for the most part. Like we're good. We weren't like, we didn't choose to come here. Y'all chose to bring us here. Yeah. So that's a fundamental difference between different minorities in this country when it comes to assimilation versus what would the word be?
Appreciation?
Not even appreciation. Assimilation versus like, I live here already. I don't need to assimilate.
Just existing. You're just existing. You're already part
you have a strong
of
sense
culture.
of self.
Yeah, there's just a different racial and community self-esteem that like I mean, obviously it's small sample size, but I've seen these different videos of like, you know, you'll see, you know, like Asian Americans on campus at these schools, and they'll ask people about like how they feel about race. Like what they ask them, like, would you be any other race if you could? And you see overwhelmingly like Asian Americans will be like, that are on these campuses will be like, yeah, it'd be easier if I was white. And then they go ask black person. Black person's like, I wouldn't want to be anything else but black. There's an interesting like sociology at play when it comes to this. And I think over time we'll learn more about this, but I think it's there.
Yeah. And I want to speak
Doc,
on
I gotta
that.
head out though.
Yeah. Thank you, Rich, for coming on here. We're about to end anyway, but thank you, Rich, for coming on here. You know, One Nation Radio. But let me say this: RLPW YouTube channel. Subscribe. Rich Latta Pro Wrestling. He puts his vlogs on there. I'll let you sell that for like as much as you're here for, and then you can ask me.
You already did it for me, man. James dropped the plugs. Peace out.
All right.
All right, later, man.
Once again, you know, Rich Latta, One Nation Radio, Rich Latta Pro Wrestling, and I think that to speak on this from the Asian American part, it's a lot of self-hate. There's a lot of self-hate in the Asian American community. There's a lot of like people who come here who grow up in white enclaves, right? White enclaves. So they're surrounded by whiteness. They're bombarded by whiteness.
Then there's also the part where, and then there's also the model minority stuff too as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
as well. Yeah.
Luckily, I grew up in an Asian enclave. I grew up with my family. I grew up like where I didn't see my Asianness as sort of as a detriment. I never saw it as that. Now, not a lot of people are lucky like me, where I was like uplifted by my community, by my family, my friends, all that stuff. But when I hear stuff like that, where a person says like, I'd rather date a white person so that I can at least have proximity to normalcy, and I'll be less likely to be picked on. And that's sort of been a survival tactic for these people, and I feel bad for you. I feel bad that you can't love yourself. That's how I feel about that. And it's really, that's also a part of the white supremacy where whiteness is the dominating culture in North America, and if we're being honest, it's a dominating culture worldwide, especially with what America puts out there as far as representation in media. It's always been like, your Brad Pitts, your Tom Cruises, your Timothy Chalamet, who, god damn it, man, just because you're dating a person who's a sister of the Kardashians, just because you're wearing all these clothes, just because you're doing a dance, man, Timothy Chalamet is putting on the costume right now, and it's so stupid.
He's one of those perfect for like when you see a white person is like, is this, how much of this is a cultural appropriation? How much of this is, this is a Gen Alpha? And the internet has got its hooks into them, and you can't say, and you have to actually think about it like critically to actually try to untangle that, or to you, it's not even worth untangling. But if you find it interesting, like, how do we end up with this person, that's like an actual great actor, right? Like a generational actor, and he's going to be around, barring something stupid happening for the next decades or whatever else. Like this generation, Leo DiCaprio. Like, how did we end up with this? So it's interesting how the internet works, and it's also interesting how New York works. It's interesting how the appropriation stuff works.
Yeah, and I think that there's sort of this wave of, I don't know what to call it, but there's this wave of people who sort of, because we've seen it with Cody Rhodes, that language of this so and so was invited to the cookout, right? That's like the, yeah. And like, there's been so much of that, and like to see like a guy like Obafemi, I know he's Nigerian and all that stuff, and it's like, oh no, I was about to do the accent, I was about to get canceled, but like Obafemi, well, he's doing an accent, but like Obafemi saying, the black wrestler who did take out Brock Lesnar was Cody Rhodes, and like you're just like, why are you doing this? Like, why are people doing this with Cody? Like it's not. And then why did Cody like play into it?
Because they all think it's cute.
Right. It was an inside joke somehow, like that left the theoretical house. Granted, to me, personally, I found the joke, kind of stupid. But it's just like how things end up traveling. It's like things that should be, like quote unquote inside business, like black people's business. Somehow, like it suddenly became, the joke left the theoretical space,
and therefore
became,
left its context. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just
whoa.
like, yeah, right. The subtext has been made text, and the problem is all these people can't read. So
yeah. So, now we've come to sort of the end of times, and I just want to thank James, and I will again thank Rich for coming on here, and D, like you've been great on this, and Les, like bro, coming on here, what you did, and like kind of explaining like the whole Gen Z sort of like mindset. I appreciate you for that, man. But yeah, this has been like it's a really hard conversation to have. It's a really self-reflective conversation to have, and having you guys here and being able to talk about it, I think it's been great. And this is Yaphouse, and we yap and we yap and we yap, but it's sometimes we hit on something hard, and James made me reflect on us being cogs in the working world of the man.
Ultimately, when you get into all these problems, me personally, right, my timeline is just infested with like on Twitter with like Black gender war stuff, right?
Yeah.
And like it thrives off negativity, right? And ultimately, like that's a strand of like this, let's say, I don't want to say loneliness epidemic because that's not what I'm getting at right now, but like this part of like the internet making people feel more isolated, and like when people get in community with like outrage of whatever they see on the timeline, like this sucks. Don't you think this sucks too? Yeah, that does suck. And then they get into that. Like when it comes to the the Black women and men gender war stuff, like I see it on my timeline, I'm like, this isn't ultimately true. Like like when people talk about like people die or Black men and chasing after being milk merchants or whatever else, and then Black women potentially on a lower degree becoming divestors. It's like, okay, well, what does the actual reality? What does the math say? It's like, oh, actually, like we marry each other.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So like some of the stuff comes down to like what you see, what you're being tricked in believing a reality that's not so online all the time, and you must like be cognizant of that, and also on a larger scale of like what's actually going on, which is when you see this stuff, when you see whatever on your timeline, ultimately what this comes down to is like, is this going to unify people? Is it going to make people come together, or is it this setting people on further and further distance away from each other, and why? And ultimately, when you look at all this stuff, I'm not saying there's some cabal of evil, wealthy white men together, but what I'm saying is like people have figured out how to monetize all these different things and exploit all these different things. And ultimately, we look back to it, like who benefits from that exploitation? It's the white man. They don't have to necessarily talk to each other. That's how these systems were set up. Institutions were set up to where like it can be faceless. It's anonymous, if you will.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm gonna like say like Paul Mooney was right. That quote is it's evergreen. It's always going to be evergreen. You guys know the quote. Oh. You all know the quote.
Oh, wants to be a Black person.
Oh yeah,
Black person.
Yeah.
Or everybody wants to be a Black person. It's time to be a Black person. That one.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean,
that's
there's another way you can say it. Was it like people want our rhythm, but they never want our blues?
Yo. And I want to thank all four of you for joining me here for this conversation on Yaphouse, for yapping with me, Larry, and it's been real. It's been really educational, and I hope like the people that listen to this, that are gonna listen to this, and like sort of like self-reflect and sort of like absorb like what we've been talking about here. It's I know I've been learning a lot here as as someone who's not Black, but just someone who's been an appreciator of Black culture, and someone who at sometimes has been sort of like taking and just sort of like not seeing. And I see you guys, not like in that lame ass way where people say like, hey, I see you, but like I definitely see where you're coming from. I see like what you guys are saying, and I appreciate it. So once again, thank you guys for coming on here. I'm gonna let you two do your plug. So whoever wants to go first can go.
Yeah. So Rich just got out of here. So I'll want to plug his new venture, RLPW, Rich Latta Pro Wrestling. It's been a running inside gag on One Nation Radio and in different conversations for years about like there's a specific vision of pro wrestling that he enjoys, and he feels like he wants to promote that to the fullest, and he's gonna have his own solo takes, because quite honestly, like he is more of the what do you call it? He's the more bombastic of us two. Like he'll say the controversial thing, and I'll go along with him. But I'm not really necessarily ready to jump out on that bridge with him unless he goes first. Because like that's not. I don't do the internet stuff. I'm not much of an internet person. If you ever look at my timeline, it's mostly just retweets and whatever else. Like I kind of don't like the internet thing because I like the stuff we just talked about. There's another example of stuff. So, but anyway, he started off hot talking about the horsewoman and Mercedes Monet's career so far over the last couple years and where he thinks it's going. And be on the lookout for that. And then also, like, nothing's changed. We're still doing One Nation Radio. Nothing's changed. It's just he wanted to also take on this other thing, and I think he's going to do great at it.
Yeah, I love it. Listening to James and Rich every week. Dude, you guys have created one of my favorite podcasts to listen to. I'm thinking about podcasts in general. Like, I know y'all always make fun of me because I always call you guys the wrestling Jesus and Mero, but like, hey, it's I've been missing them, and like, you know, you guys kind of fill that gap. Although listen to Mero on the Hot 97, he's been all right. But yeah, man, again, like, James, thank you for coming on. Thank you for spreading the wisdom and the knowledge you have, and you sharing your experience. Your lived experience is what's important, and sharing that with my audience, sharing that with the community, and teaching people. Although, like, I'm teaching these devils, as I wanted to say, I've been holding back on that the whole time, but like teaching these people like about where it comes from, why it's an issue, and reading all that nonsense, like in response to Swerve saying that John Cena had a talent, but he didn't know what to do with it. Yeah, I hope people listen to this and learn. Thank you, James.
No problem.
Oh, right, my turn.
Yes, applause.
Okay, so I am I'm a freelance illustrator, graphic designer, and I also happen to write. So I have a online business card where you can actually check all of that out. It's Denisha Artist at card.co. So DANESHARTIS at CARRD.co. I have a Ko-Fi account on there, and I also have a online store where I have a bunch of original stuff that I do. So you can get that on shirts, mugs, what have you. So
yeah, buy all of her stuff. Support artists, support independent artists. Denisha's one of my favorite artists. You should check out those drawings of Swerve and Hangman she did. Especially if you were a procurer of Tumblr. She'd be right up your alley. Deviant Art also. Oh no, hey,
I quit that. It got weird.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it always gets weird. Les, you have anything to say, man?
I'm happy to join. I know I didn't have much to say, but this was a good education purpose right here. That, like you said, you hope that your listeners listen to. Other than that, it's been a privilege to join you guys. I don't listen to much One Nation Radio, but I just followed, so I'm gonna start listening to the podcast more. I just don't have the time for it because I mostly listen to other podcasts that I've been following for years, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but I'm gonna give you guys. I'm actually gonna listen to you guys. Like, you guys seem genuine. You guys know your stuff, so I can't wait to listen to what you guys put out there.
Hey. Appreciate it for the opportunity, man. Like I'm not. Mostly for me, it's just the conversations me and Rich is talking about whatever, and mostly it ends up being every week is pro wrestling, and then also there's stuff like last week it was the T.I. and 50 thing. I wasn't there because I had the flu, but like it's basically like mostly if it's some pop cultural thing that whatever else from that week we'll talk about at the beginning, and then we'll get into the wrestling.
Yeah, and that's what I like. I like listening more than I'm a huge wrestling fan. I've watched wrestling for basically my entire life. Mm-hmm. But I also like when people touch up on different topics other than wrestling. Like, I don't care much for politics, but if it's politics, I'll listen. If it's hip hop, I'll listen. Anything that's worth listening to that's interesting, I'll give it a shot. And like I said, I can't wait to hear what you guys put out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
you can always go to the YouTube. We got clips and everything, a bunch of clips over the years, whatever else. So you go on there and see if there's anything you like, because there's a bunch of different stuff. Whether it's like, we talked about January 6th when it happened, or it's like, the Montgomery brawl on the dock when black people whipped on white people's
Smoke
asses.
on the water.
Fade in the water. Yeah, like
Fade
it's
in the
always
water.
stuff. It's always something like that pops up throughout the months and weeks. So we talk about it, we clip it. So whatever you want. So if there's anything that grabs your eye, or any topic, whatever else, give it a shot and see if you like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't really have no plug, but I do like just go through Twitter and Instagram sometimes, whether it's wrestling or other stuff, whether it's funny, stupid, controversial, something that's entertaining to me. But if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's kherford13. That's pretty much it for me right there.
Thanks to all three of you. Thanks to Rich for coming on. This is The Prescription. This is Yaphouse. We out, and see you next time.
私リンゴ